thought that you were in a safe environment? How many of you felt that an IT job is safe and, okay, come to TCS, Tata doesn't sack you, keeping all those things in mind, it's a very safe place to stay. How many of you felt that all I have to do every day is to come here and sit on a chair? How many of you? I don't see any hands. Sit on a chair, go out for coffee, take a break in the cafeteria, and come back and sit on the same damn chair. Not very risky. Or is it? Good evening, Toastmasters. Today, I'm going to put a little bit of a perspective to what we do every day and how hazardous it can be. Hazards don't have to be bombs, they don't have to be trains, they don't have to be a speeding bullet hitting you. It could be as simple as coming to office and sitting on that chair. So all of us work hard. I mean, is there anybody who will say that I don't work hard? Which project? So there are many issues with long work hours, especially with us IT chaps. We are people who are bound to the chair, who stick around, sit in front of a keyboard, and some of us, have this issue of telling the ladies, oh, this is how we sit in code. So that can be actually quite bad. It can result in neck pain, shoulder injuries, eye strains, and I'm sure most of us here already use glasses. And of course, now the second part is, it can also lead to psychiatric depression. How many of you are Facebook addicts? Come on, be honest. Most people must be spending more than 3 hours on Facebook.
Not today.
On an app, there's been studies that have shown that social networking websites attract so many people, especially those with depression, and tend to affect your interpersonal communication. So you cannot talk face to face, but on Facebook, on Skype, there will be such chatterboxes, you'll have to tell them, please shut up. So that's what happens when you have too much IT. And finally, mishaps. Our poor roadrunner here is a victim of mishaps. Haven't you ever had a stage? How many of you do development? How many of you do coding? Anybody who doesn't do? Okay. Now, how many of you had this frustrating feeling that something just doesn't work? It just doesn't work. But next day in the morning, you come, put it on, some little bit of a tweak and it works. So you're having mishaps. Imagine if you were developing a missile development system. So what was supposed to go up may straight go down. So that's a problem of work-related hours. And a lot of project managers, especially, they say, get that delivery out on time. They don't realize that the missile that they're going to send to Pakistan will just come straight back at us because you put F++ and not F-. But just one key apart. So these are some of the effects of having long work hours. But I'm not here to talk about everything. I want to focus primarily on something called posture. How many of us make a conscious effort to ensure that we walk straight? No, most people don't. Most people are quite happy leaning, bending, or the stomach precedes the person. And then, of course, there is the hero who stands,
Like that.
come here. So these are various posture problems. Now, what happens here? When you have bad posture, at 26, 27, you won't realize it. Come 30, 40, you'll have effects of things like spinal compression. Spinal compression is that your nerves, your spinal cord is compressed between your backbones. So you have issues, you'll have problems walking. You may have issues, you may have to replace your knees at the age of 60 instead of at the age of 80. These are some facts because of bad posture, and our work lives don't particularly help that. Ideally, we should keep a straight posture, and if you see, the backbone is not a straight line. It's actually a curve, a double S. So that is what we need to maintain. So if I'm not walking around correctly, please tell me that I'm not walking right, because that will help me a lot in the long term. So what can we do? But most of us don't keep walking around the whole day. We sit down and work. We don't just walk into office, stand there, look at everybody and say, okay, let's leave. No, that's not how it works. Usually, we are at a computer and we sit. And we sit on a chair, something like this, I hope people can see. You sit something like this, and you lean back, enjoy, put on your iPads, and you start working. This is complete disaster in the long term. So how do you know what is good posture for, say, a computer system? How do you manage that? So a few criterion here can easily tell you how to maintain good posture. Firstly, take a look at the elbow of this gentleman. It's kept as far as possible at 90 degrees. Now, why is that important? If you keep it at any other angle, there is always a certain degree of stress. And where it's rested makes the elbow and the armrest more or less go parallel. So if you look at most of us have chairs whose armrests are adjustable. Usually we end up playing with it. But here, if you can keep it like this, that's a significant advantage because your shoulder is supported. There's support here. So there's no stress on your shoulder muscle. So this, as a result, makes it a lot easier. And you avoid things like carpal tunnel syndrome. That is basically, there is a nerve which goes through your elbow over here. Now, so how many of you know what a funny bone is? So funny bone is actually an effect. It's not the 205th bone. It's actually an effect because there's a nerve here between the bones over here. And when you strike it, it's a funny effect that you get. That's what it's called. But that same funny bone can be affected in such a way that you have undue stress, tension coming on this because of bad posture. Many of us type like this. Or we'll just rest. We'll have a small desk where just about our wrist fits on it. So that is actually pretty bad for your wrist and hand. A simple way of measuring, what about foot? It's not just about your hands, how you sit. Because what happens is, if you're sitting, as far as possible, your feet should be properly rested, like that. And you should sit with about a space of so much. This is very easy to see. Adjust your chair accordingly. Make a small fist. And if you can fit your fist between your knee and your thigh, then you know, okay, you're in the right posture. That gives you sufficient support, not too much, not too little. Then coming to the resting eye level. Now, people prefer to look, some people keep their monitors up there and sort of stare up at the screen as, oh, almighty God, oh, great computer, please be kind and shine upon me. No, that is not mankind created computers, so let us look down upon inferior machines. So try to keep your eyes focused a little bit below the screen at almost a 20 to 30 degree angle. So that helps reduce strain both in your eyes as well as neck. Apart from that, so basically you can also use certain other techniques. So what is important when you work? Firstly, take breaks. I know we TCSers take a lot of them, but taking breaks helps in many ways. Firstly, what do you do when you take a break? Take a 20-minute walk, a 10-minute walk, because that actually gets your muscles to move and you're not lethargic, you don't sit in one place and doesn't feel like those joints have not moved in a century. So that helps a lot. Moreover, there's many other acids, etc., which accumulate, which when you start some sort of motion, it helps release that. Then what else? You can do something like simple stretching exercises. Simple stretching exercises mean just turn your neck around a little or roll your shoulders. Nobody's going to notice that. It doesn't mean you have to do a full physical workout in the office. I mean, if you're free, if you'd like to do a full workout at that time. But having said that, how many of you stop to breathe? Take a breath. It's very important. Take a deep breath because that helps oxygenate your brain cells properly and moreover give you a break and sort of relaxes you. Same as taking a yawning, but don't yawn in front of your boss. I would really not recommend that. And how many of us make it a point to keep some water? Very important, because keeping yourself hydrated, especially in the air-conditioned environment, we all undergo something called passive dehydration, where you don't realize you're getting dehydrated, but you are getting dehydrated. So that helps keep you quite regenerated. And how many of you have the money to spend? If you do, there are things called anti-fatigue glasses, which you can use. They're very expensive. One set costs about 10,000 rupees. but they're extremely effective also. It reduces the radiation from the monitor on your eyes. So with that, I am open to any questions that you may have. And that's all, folks. If there are any questions,